My Hero Academia is over, and Jujutsu Kaisen is soon to follow in the upcoming weeks. Two mega, monolithic manga series that have made waves and have changed the landscape of manga and anime forever. The impact and the effects they will have on culture itself with the anime and manga community is honestly still to this day left unseen. We can already see the ripples, the waves it's making, but we don't really see the full extent, and maybe until a decade from now. But the point is, when any series comes to an end within Weekly Shonen Jump, something needs to take its place. It leaves a spot within the magazine, and Shonen Jump can't just leave a hole within their magazine just to sit there and rot. They need something to be able to replace it, and potentially even surpass the previous series that left that hole within their magazine. And so, we have a new series in the lineup that I'm assuming is taking My Hero Academia's spot, and it's honestly a very good first chapter. Now, there's a lot of background I want to talk about before I get into the nitty-gritty of the chapter, the first chapter that came out, but I do want to talk about what this series represents, or how it came to be. So basically, this is the first page, so to speak, of the series, Ichi the Witch, and the artwork alone, very beautiful. Right off the cusp, right at the beginning of the story, this artwork is really eye-catching. For good reason. Because the artist that is working on this is Shiro Usazaki. An individual that is very gifted as an artist, and you might know them from their previous work, Act Age. Now, I don't want people to get confused about this, okay? I want to make sure I clarify. The author of Act Age was accused of being a PDF, and was found guilty of being a PDF. And obviously Shonen Jump quickly axed the series, they canceled Act Age. But at the time, Act Age was made by two individuals. You had the author, the actual writer, that turned out to be a PDF, and then you had the artist, Shiro, that, did the art of Act Age. And Act Age was something that had so much potential. Like, the overwhelming potential that this series had was insane. And right as it was really building up momentum, potentially going to be getting an anime adaptation, obviously everything comes out about the offer. And so, something that could have been maybe a potential mega hit, a massive, massive series, never came to be. And obviously, we'll never know. We'll never know exactly how truly impactful Act Age would have been. We can already see examples of series that try to do something similar, like Oshi no Ko, and we have seen how popular Oshi no Ko has become. So, I can only begin to imagine how massive Act Age would have been if given more time, but also if the offer wasn't an absolute creep and scumbag. So, getting into the main point, basically, ever since Act Age's cancellation and, all that, makes sense why it was, Shiro, the artist of Act Age, took a lot of blows to the face. Basically, her career was kind of damaged a little bit thanks to being associated with someone like that. Obviously, Shiro's went off on record to basically say she wants nothing to do with the offer, etc. like that. But obviously, the damage has been done, and having basically your first time ever being an artist, especially with Weekly Shonen Jump, and having something like that happen, it potentially could cost you from ever wanting to work in the industry again, or cause you from being able to work in the industry again. So years have passed. Many years have passed since the cancellation of Act Age, and for the first time after all those years, Shiro has come back to do art for a new manga that is being written by the Iruma-kun author, aka the, Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun. That author is writing the story of Ichi the Witch in Weekly Shonen Jump, and the artist is the artist of Act Age, Shiro. So this is the background, this is the lore, so to speak, on how this series came to be. I don't necessarily know how these two individuals met, or how they became friends, or whatever, but I will say that Iruma-kun's offer is legitimately a good offer. Like, as someone that has read their work, and I'm up to date with the current chapters of Iruma-kun's manga, the story is great. It feels like I take a time machine back 10 to 15 years ago to manga of just its caliber. It's a really nostalgic manga to read, honestly. It's really good. And I've always liked the writing style of, Osamu, and how the writing is of Iruma-kun. And so having the writer come in to write a new story that is also fantasy setting, and having the art of Act Age, the artist of Act Age, working on this, it's a dream come true. This has the potential to be legitimately a amazing manga that can actually make waves. Now, obviously, anything can happen. It's very true. But obviously, the pedigree, the record of just like Iruma-kun's offer alone carries significant weight. But the artist that obviously was making a lot of waves too in Shonen Jump at the time, Shiro, definitely has a lot of potential here as well. So you factor in these two stars here, this series has high potential, and I am excited to see if this can get itself off the ground and become extremely popular, because as I've been talking about for a while, Shonen Jump has a massive gap in their magazine now, with like My Hero Academia now over, JJK in a few weeks is going to be over. You know, a lot of readers are potentially only reading the magazine for those two individual stories, because a lot of people don't want to think about it. I don't like thinking about it, but a lot of people grew up with My Hero. A lot of people, like My Hero to a lot of people is the modern age Naruto, Bleach, or One Piece, or even Dragon Ball for many. Like, it is literally that type of story for a lot of people. So there is so many people that look at My Hero as this generational manga, and now that it's over, a lot of people that grew up with that might not be interested in reading anything new within the magazine. The same can be said for JJK when it comes to a close, because it's definitely, a lot of people grew up with JJK as well. So you get the point. So Shonen Jump is definitely desperate. They definitely need to attract new readers and old readers to the magazine to be able to read this new content. And that is why I think Hunter x Hunter's coming back in the next few weeks, is because Shonen Jump is very desperate to capture old audiences as well, because there is a lot of very dedicated Hunter x Hunter fans that will continue coming back regardless of how long the hiatuses are. So anyways, getting into the main point, I feel like knowing Shonen Jump's current situation, and they're very well aware that a lot of series that they really have cultivated for a long time, for over a decade now, is pretty much wrapping up to, like I said, JJK, My Hero, and One Piece, clear as day, getting closer to the conclusion. Anyone that says they don't see the end of the horizon, I think is fooling themselves. One Piece is definitely getting close. It really is. I can feel it. I think anyone actually reading the story and actually analyzing everything to the reveals and all that, you can feel that we really are in the end game of One Piece. And give or take 5 to 6 years from now, the magazine might look radically different. Like, once One Piece is gone, Shonen Jump will have such a hard time probably to shift into a new era and find a series that really can captivate audiences, not just for a few years, but decades. And so, I feel like they're going to be a little bit more lenient, in my personal opinion. Obviously, this can be proven wrong in the next few weeks, but I feel like Shonen Jump might be a little bit more lenient when it comes to newcomers into the magazine right now, because they definitely need a home run series right now. They 100% need a series to build weight, and obviously I feel like a lot of this burden is definitely being put on the Kagurabachi offer, but I do think that they're looking for other offers to really grow as well. So anyways, enough with the stalling, let's get into the first chapter of Ichi the Witch. The premise overall is very shonen. Nothing wrong with that. It is a very shonen first chapter. It is something that really captures that mysterious world and feeling and characters, leading to questions, and it does everything properly that a first chapter should do. The artwork is, it's gorgeous. I still think that right now the actual artist, Shiro, is definitely holding back a little bit. I feel like they definitely haven't gotten to the full swing of things, in my personal opinion. Like, the art of this chapter is gorgeous, okay? I'm not putting it down. But as someone that has actively seen Act Age's art here, like actually have seen like how it looks and stuff, the artist of Act Age is really gifted. And I feel like right now, at his current time with the first chapter, the artist has yet to really pop off. But I feel like when things really start to kick up and the story really starts progressing, that's when the art really will become powerful, so to speak, and emotional. Because the reason why I hype up the artist so much of, you know, Act Age, but also now of Ichi, is because the artist had this very special quality to drag out emotion out of you through the artwork. And it's a very rare gift. It is extremely rare for an artist to be able to drag emotion out of you without words, just art. And so, I don't think, so far, I have felt that yet from Ichi. But it is a very safe start, which I think is fine. And it falls in line with what Shonen Jump currently wants. a fantasy setting with some supernatural, a little bit of magic, and obviously a strong lead. That potentially might not be a goody-goody two-shoes that used to be Shonen Jump characters 10 plus years ago. Because one thing, it's been very clear within the magazine that a lot of audience readers definitely want a darker MC, or an MC that isn't necessarily completely a white knight or an evil person. They want someone that's kind of a little bit gray. And in this case, the character in question, the MC, he comes off a little bit unhinged in this first chapter. I'm not saying he's a psychopath, I'm not saying that, but he is definitely not a normal person. Because, like, he wants to live in the mountain because he likes the feeling of, you know, hunting for death and all that. And, you know, he was abandoned as a child. It's a very grim and dark backstory, so to speak. Just seeing, you know, an individual having to live off the land. And then when they realized that the reason why they were given a knife when they were left alone was because they can basically get rid of their own self instead of succumbing to starvation. It's a pretty dark beginning to the character. It just goes to show the psyche and stuff and what led them to be what they are. It's a pretty interesting character backstory. I like it, but it makes you wonder why? Who did this to the character? What was the purpose? What was the parents thinking while doing this? There's so many questions, and this is where the first chapter brings up so many questions. It makes you wonder what's going to happen next. And I think that right now, because of that, that's what leads to a very good first chapter, because it leaves the audience wanting more and knowing wanting to know what's going to happen next. And also, we get our first real good look of action sequences in this chapter. Like, we get some beautiful frames and stuff of action. Like this looks really good. Like, this legitimately looks really good. There's some beautiful artwork here that's on display. And I think that, so far, it's solid. It's very solid. Let's get into the summary. What is it about? Well, Ichi the Witch is about a world that has magic, obviously. It's set in a fantasy world, but magic comes about because these weird creatures called magic, very unique name, by the way, but these weird creatures called magic, they are kind of like genies to a degree. It reminds me a lot of, you know, Maggie, actually, if you've ever read that manga. Very good manga, by the way. But, it reminds me of that. Kind of how that stuff was done with the power system of Maggie. And you have it to where only women in this world can actually get magic and become witches. But there was a certain, you know, magic that was actually only able to be defeated by a guy. And thanks to circumstances, or MC defeated it, and now he has technically become a witch. So it's a pretty fascinating beginning. Obviously, it's definitely setting it up for, like, he's special, but also setting it up for that, definitely he is, you know, there's a lot of possibilities with these, like, creatures, these demon-like creatures or magic creatures, where they can have multiple different personalities. Some could probably be good, some could be evil, but we don't really have, like, at this current time, the main entity that is truly the villain of the story yet, which I think is fine. It was more or less focused on the world building and the character, on what you should care about so far with the story. I like it. I like this manga. It's legitimately enjoyable, and I actually am excited to see where it's going to go. It's a very simple first chapter, but it's cooking. It's definitely cooking, and I want to see where it's going to go in the upcoming weeks, and I hope that Shonen Jump doesn't, you know, axe it or cancel it. We'll see, though. But, thank you so much for watching. May all of you have a fantastic day or night wherever you live. Be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.